Hello, World Civ. I think we're on week 11. I'm pretty sure. I thought I skipped a week, but maybe I skipped 2 weeks. And last time I did an announcement like this, I've been doing other kind of announcements. Anyhow, so whatever. So if you don't think it's week 11, fear not. That's just my mess up. Nothing changes in the world other than me like saying the wrong week number. But anyhow, so here we are in what was the day? Right? Okay, so voting's happened, right? And so everybody's been getting along perfectly, right? No political arguments. Right, no. So it's been kind of brutal. It's American political life is a little brutal. Let's be real. Everybody here in the Netherlands has their eye on what we're doing, and they feel very passionate about the choices we're making. I don't want to try to shove my political view or their political view to, I always want to make clear, I always like my classes to feel like a safe place for my students, that I don't impose my politics or views in a way that would make anybody feel uncomfortable or worry about their views and what they're writing to me or in the papers would affect their grade or their relationship with me. And I feel like I've been true to that. But I do have a lot of strong opinions, and I post them on other social media forums, so I'll out myself there. Just so you know, there's two things, and I think I've mentioned this in some of my videos, that every European kind of addresses to me off the street. Why are you guys obsessed with guns, and what the hell is up with Trump? And that's the two comments that I get. And a part of it, you just to explain, say that the Second Amendment issue, the idea that Americans have of having an actual like inherent right to guns, and that guns are equal to a free society, is completely alien to almost every European nation. I mean, they have guns in certain, people hunt, especially if they live out, in more like rural areas. I have a friend from Denmark that's an avid hunter. So he does have them, but that's not considered a right, and it's not considered something that you have for self-protection. Because they're having a kind of tension over the issue of refugees here, basically the political parties that are against having more refugees are a part of groups that openly are pro-Trump. And so this is a divisive set of politics here. I mean, the Netherlands almost elected a right-wing politician that is here called the Trump of the Netherlands. And he didn't win. And I met a girl at a bar who said that in her where she's from is more rural, and that most of her family and friends voted for that person, the right-wing guy. And so it's like this so everybody's kind of dealing with all these different clashes of ideologies and the issues about immigration. That's the thing. So in the United States here, we've been polarized over this, and there's the issue with this caravan and sending troops to the border. So I'm posting a video that you're not required to watch, but I want you to watch, on the U.S. role in south of the border in Latin America. And it's biased. It's put out by Al Jazeera, and it doesn't paint the United States in a very favorable lens. And the reason why I'm posting it for you is I'm not trying to push a particular point of view. What I want you to know is this. And this goes especially to be blunt, white students that don't have any family connections or cultural connections to south of the border. Okay, In other words, many of my students are Latino and are from these countries, and they do know about all this, but not many students that are not from that background. The reason why I'm showing this is because this is fair and balanced, because the other opposition is to not show it. So, and here's what I'm saying. There isn't a different really way to tell the story. The information in here is a fact. I know this information very well. I actually teach a lot of this in my WorldCiv107 class, if you want to take it with me in the future. The way, though, just to kind of, I will kind of add some nuance to balance it out, so I'm fair about how I approach this, is that a more conservative side of looking at this would be to say, look, the U.S. was fighting the Russians, the Soviet Union, and at that time, Marxist groups were being supported. For instance, Cuba had nuclear warheads put into by the Soviet Union. I mean, there was a fear about Latin America going communist. So the United States decided, and this is actually true everywhere that they were in the world, if something is anti-communist, the United States is 100% going to support it, no matter how violent, brutal, or bad that regime is, no matter how many people they torture, women and children that they kill, no matter how much raping by the paramilitaries. And I'm not exaggerating a bit. I can say this with a full conscience. This is not me being leftist or radical. This is like an empirical fact. It's not, you can't debate that. That is the approach that the United States took to this, and many Western nations. This is what people call realpolitik. The idea that Machiavelli taught, that the ends justify the means, that a greater good would be accomplished by pushing back Soviet interests by any means necessary. So that was accomplished. The Soviet Union is gone now, but the U.S. still has a lot of military interventions and things that they do in Latin America. And this has produced a lot of the massive migration issues. And so I thought it was important, for you all, as you're watching the issue of the caravan, to at least be aware of how other people in the world are seeing the background, the backdrop, the cause of what is taking place here, okay? That's important to know, right? And I just want to say this. I've been telling this to the other classes in my different announcements. I think that for the majority of white Americans, and I'm speaking anecdotally here. I don't have I'm not drawing some hardline statistic or anything. But my impression is that many white American kids, they go to college, and for the first time they learn about the U.S. government's military roles and the political roles within Latin America, and the economic role and all of that. And it's so shocking to them that they become radicalized. And this is where we professors get accused of turning students into communist agitator, anarchist kids and hate America and blah, blah, blah. I'm not certainly trying to get you to hate on anything, but I do think that this information, because it's so not a part of any discussion on any news channel for the most part, that it's such a shock. And it does feel like a conspiracy, the great conspiracy of silence. And I think that right now, because it's such a polarizing issue in our society, you need to not have a blank slate on this topic. So if you watch this and you feel like it's too negative of a slant, then I challenge you to look up this information and find the way in which this can be countered or justified, right? And at least you'll be now in the know. And so either way, I hope it's a win-win for everyone, right? No matter what your politics are. So having said that, that's not a requirement. We are going into Christianity right now. We're learning about the creation of the Bible, all of these things that I find very exciting, the very complex history of Christianity. And I'm hoping that what you see here, what I really enjoy about teaching this section, is that if you break away from the debate about what is true Christianity or what's truth, and you just simply look at the development, it's very interesting. And what you realize is that to conceptualize the role Christianity has looked very different in different parts of the world, depending on place and time. And I think that that's very fascinating. I mean, you could say that about Islam and Buddhism as well, but I really think Christianity, especially since the Reformation, which we're not up to that point yet, it really just changes its the way that it presents itself. So feel free to have, if you need to ask me any questions about that, if you find that interesting. Right now, I'm here in Leiden, and right over there, you can see where I'm pointing. I'm a 30-second walk to a church that is literally made in the 1600s. It's a 17th century church. I think it's the first Reformed church in the Netherlands. And it's a very impressive structure. It's very interesting. So I don't know, the world is full of interesting things, despite all of the terrible things that are going on. I hope that all of you are having the ability to get the positive in your life. And yeah, I want that for everybody. And if not, feel free to hit me up. We can do heart to heart. I understand life doesn't always work so, gracefully. So anyways, have a good week and we'll be in touch.